In this guide, I'm going to show you how to set up Media Center Master to download all of your TV shows using SabNZBd. And Media Center Master does have a built-in usenet downloader, but a lot of people use SabNZBd, myself included, for the advanced bandwidth and scheduling features, post-processing, things like that. Plus, you may already have it set up to download feeds or integrate with other applications. So it'll be a great idea for me to show you how to set it up with an external downloader first. So I'm going to go ahead and launch. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and look at my folders here. I've got some set up already. You notice I've got my media here, and there's actually nothing in there. And I'm doing it that way so I can show you how to start from scratch. My downloads folder, I've got a folder that Media Center Master will download new episodes. A folder where Media Center Master won't ever look at. These will be downloads like audio books, games, anything that is not media that you don't want parsed by Media Center Master. We're going to use a script with SabNZBd that will try to detect what's what and move accordingly. And then I've got several folders here for SabNZBd, cache, completed downloads that haven't been post-processed yet. Incoming we're going to use for NZBD, NZB files that Media Center Master will download and SabNZBd will look for. Once it finds them, it'll add it to its downloads. Logs, and then post-processing. Now, you don't have to set up your folders like this. You can keep them in the default install path. I like having them all in one place I can look at, so there you go. I've already installed SabNZBd. I have not configured it yet, so I'm going to do that now. Like I said, we're going to start from scratch on this one. So here's my quick start wizard. We're going to go with English, start the wizard. Primary usenet provider, yeah, and we've got advertisements. So I'm just going to copy and paste this. There's mine. I'll use the default port. And then my secure password. We're going to go with 15 connection limit. We do allow SSL on a different port. I'm just going to leave that alone for now. Successful. Next. For this demo, I'm only going to set it up to be viewable from my PC. If you use SabNZBd over a network, or you want to be able to manage your usenet downloads from another PC, obviously you want to set that up. I don't need to do this or that. And again, that's up to you as well. So I'm going to go to the next page. There's a service it's restarting. I think that it's done. It hasn't actually told me. Let's try it. There we go. There it is. Okay. And this will be how it looks when you first set it up. I'm going to go into some configuration pages here first, though. I really don't need to change any of this. This is stuff that you can do if you want. Folders. Here we go. So for my temporary download folder, we're going to put that in this cache. I'm going to copy and paste it. Completed. Watched folder. This is going to be where Media Center Master downloads new NZB files. You put a watch folder in. Any new NZB files that come in, SabNZBd will watch for and add it to its download list. Okay. Post-processing scripts right here. And then there's a logs folder. I like keeping my logs with everything else, so we'll move that too. So I'm going to save the changes. And most of the default options in here are probably fine for most users. You can change them as you like. I've only have the one server that I set up just a few moments ago. those options there. You can set up backup servers or the same server using a different port, such as SSL, just in case one fails to download. You can use all kinds of different schedules. You can add schedules for every time of day. You can add schedules for the weekend, evenings. Yeah, I really don't need most of these options configured for Media Center Master, so I'm just going to leave them all alone. And we're going to go back to the main interface here. I'm going to look at everything, and we'll turn off multi-operations just to clean up the interface here. Good deal. So now SabNZBd is set up. We're going to go into Media Center Master now. And I'm going to enable some options here. Under Downloader, I have enabled movie and TV downloads, and I've set up some things the way I like. I'm not using track.tv at the moment. I'm not going to get into any of the advanced options. You can obviously change all kinds of things here, but I have set what my preferences are for quality, my overall preferences. And for the TV downloader, there are TV show country biases that you can use. You can set it to nothing. I like to use US because I'm in the US. But sometimes there are multiple versions of a show for different countries. MasterChef, Hell's Kitchen, things like that do have a US or UK version, or even other countries. And that will help Media Center Master understand that if you downloaded a new version of Hell's Kitchen and it doesn't have the US after it, it'll assume that it's for the US version. Another way you can do that is using the TV series override, where you can add a new override that just says Hell's Kitchen. You can assign it an ID automatically, and you won't have to use the bias at all. So back in settings here, I've got a method here to skip any downloads for this cutoff date right here. You'll want to use that for new TV shows, so that if you added a show like, I don't know, The Big Bang Theory right now, and you tried to tell it to go ahead and download all the new episodes for it, it's going to start all the way at the beginning if that isn't checked. It's going to start from episode 1, season 1. And you don't want that. Usually those sources aren't even available anymore. I know Usenet has some pretty good retention, a couple of years, so that show may actually be okay, but in most cases you're just going to want the last season or so. So I'm going to set this back to, I don't know, March or so. That's not going to get the whole season, but we can worry about that later. Under Usenet, I'm going to enable Usenet downloads. We have a couple of different indexers that we can use. Personally, I only like to use Media Center Master's index. I know where those are coming from. I know what the spam prevention looks like on there. It's all stuff that I've customized myself. nzb.su has some pretty good download links. However, they're really, really restrictive on how many times we can search per day. So if you like to download a lot of shows, or you like to search very frequently, you're just going to be out of luck there after a while. And then there's a backup here for bin search. I don't really like bin search that much because there's absolutely no filtering, spam protection, any of that stuff. I think they do mark some things as passworded, and Media Center Master will check to make sure that the file size is right, but it can't check for password protected Usenet downloads. So I'm going to tell Media Center Master not to download the articles themselves, or automatically launch the NZB. I'm actually going to tell it to move it to a watch path. This will work on the same computer like we're doing right now, or to work on another computer on your network. So I'm going to go ahead and set that now. It will be on my data drive here, downloads, SabNZBd, incoming. So anytime Media Center Master downloads a new NZB file from Usenet, from a Usenet indexer, it's going to save it into this incoming folder that we've already configured SabNZBd to look for and start the download. So that's how files are going to get from point A to point B. Now, once SabNZBd has finished downloading, it's going to put it into a completed path. So we actually do have more settings here that we want to change. We want to change categories. Yes, categories. The default category is going to be normal priority. It's going to do everything. It's going to download it, then repair it, then unpack any RARs, zip files, any other archives, and then it's going to delete any RARs, extra files, etc., that aren't part of the download. And it's automatically going to run my media script. Now my media script is right here. You may want one like this. My media script says, look inside the new download for an MKV, or an MP4, or an AVI, or ATS. It's a very basic script here, or WMV. If it finds any of these, it's going to move the download into the download parser folder. If it doesn't find any of those, though, it'll move it into a non-Media Center Master completed folder, and that's if you're downloading other things such as, games or audiobooks or things like that. So you don't want those parsed by Media Center Master. So that's what my media post-processing script looks like, and I'm going to have it as the default category. Try to run that script. I have another post-processing script in here that always moves it into this folder. I use that sometimes if I want another category. You don't have to do that, but since it's right here, we'll do it. Okay. I think this, there we go, save that. I'm going to have to enter this again. Make this a little bit wider. There we go. Okay, so we'll go back to the download list again. Let's minimize this. And really, that's all we need to configure over here. Pardon me. You notice in the download parser, instead of where movies, we have a configuration where we can tell Media Center Master to move all the new movie downloads to this folder. You don't have anything like that for TV shows. And the reason why is Media Center Master will look for a TV show already in your library that matches the show that you've downloaded, and it'll move it into that folder for you. So that's how we want to configure where it's going to get to. So we're going to turn on the download parser. All these options here are just fine for me. You may want to change them accordingly. I'm not actually going to be downloading any potentially illegitimate copies of media that I may or may not own, so I'm going to kind of fudge it a little bit there in this demo, but that's why this option is on. Parse as usual. You may usually want to do delete and re-download or skip, and that applies to movies. If you do download archives and SabNZBd is not automatically extracting for you, you're going to want to turn that on. I'll turn it on myself, just in case. Yep, go ahead and clean up empty folders, and that only applies to torrents and uTorrents. So we're good here. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to add a sample show here. Let's try to add a new show. Add a TV series. We're going to add it to my media scan folder right here. This demo assumes that you don't already have the show in your collection, which is fine. We're going to do The Big Bang Theory, why not? There it is. Now if you have the downloader turned on, and you already have TV downloads specifically turned on, then this will be automatically checked as long as the status is still continuing or a returning series. If you're using a TV Rage, then that'll automatically be turned on. It's going to fetch the base metadata for that show. It's done. I'm not sure why the filter didn't refresh there, but okay. So here it is. I've got a couple of extra options here. You can use relaxed download searching for this show. That's a new option that I just introduced. That'll basically ask any download source, such as Usenet or torrents. It'll ask Media Center Master to not verify that the name of the show in the results is the exact name of the show that appears right here on the Show Name tab. And the reason why you might want to do that is for some shows like The Daily Show, where your results may be The Daily Show, or they may be The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, and those show names obviously don't match. You also have some shows that have the year after the name. Sometimes they don't. It just depends on the release group, how they're making their releases. So you may want to leave that off, though, for some shows that come up with a lot of results. Like Two Broke Girls usually tends to have a lot of results from shows that have the word girls in it, but not that specific show. So you have some specific quality designations here that you can change. I'm going to use the overall settings that you saw earlier. It airs on a normal schedule. Some shows like Conan O'Brien, The Daily Show, Colbert Report, those will air daily. So you want to search by the air date and not by the season and episode. And then some shows like mostly anime shows will only be available by the 3-digit number that it's currently airing as instead of a season and episode. So you'll set it to that for those types of shows. But for now, this is just a basic normal show. And I think we're good here. So I'm going to pause my downloads so that no actual data is being downloaded in this demonstration. I'm not going to do that. We're just going to kind of fudge it here, but you'll see that it does actually get in there once we get this going. I'll save any changes. I'm not sure I made any changes, but I'll save them anyway. And yeah, let's download some new episodes. You can see it's found some results from the Media Center Master internal index that we host and maintain. And they're automatically being added here. Not being downloaded because I just paused it. If you want this to happen automatically without doing it the manual method that we just used, you want to make sure that your download new TV episodes is on some kind of interval. I usually use 15 minutes or so is fine. Depends on how many shows you have in your list and how often you want downloads running. If you don't want downloads to happen during the day, again, SabNZBd has a really nice scheduling option where you can say, okay, well, during the hours of 8 a.m. on for Monday through Friday, pause all downloads. And then you can add another schedule that at 5 p.m., which is 17 o'clock, Monday through Friday, unpause or set a speed limit. You do all kinds of schedules in there. So I found a whole bunch of episodes, starting with an air date of March 1st, 2013 on, and it's added those to the list. Done and done. You'll notice in the download history, I actually have some from some previous testing I'd been doing. Here are the downloads from today. No big surprise there. Now, if it downloaded a source that wasn't working correctly and you needed to delete it, try again from a different source, you will actually have to delete that entry here. If you don't do that, Media Center Master will think, well, hey, it's already downloading. I'm not going to send it to SabNZBd again, and it'll skip right over it. So make sure that you check your download history if you need to restart a download. Okay, so I'm going to delete all of these instead of letting them finish. Now, what would happen if they did finish? There's the TV show added. If they did finish, SabNZBd would run my post-processing script. It would see that there's media in there. the media would be moved to this folder here. And I'm just going to pretend like it did that already. Big Bang Theory. I'm not really sure what episodes we downloaded. It looks like 17 was one of them. And it could be in its own folder. Why not? We'll do MKV in this one. Well, as long as the folder or the file name is identifiable, Media Center Master shouldn't have any problems with it. So, once downloads are completed, if you have this set on an interval, the download parser, say every 5 minutes or so, that's about what I use, it'll look for new downloads in here. The SabNZBd has finished and moved in here, and it'll try to parse them according to the download parser settings that we set up earlier. I'm going to turn that back off though and do it manually. So here we go. Let's process new downloads. So here's what it did. It moved both of the downloads in here into season 6, and there they are. 17 and 18. I'm going to look at the detail list. You can see that there's no quality tag here. It says unknown. It would say 720p or standard def, etc. But these are 0-byte files that I just faked, so obviously that's not going to show up anything. And we had some error messages here in the download parser that we can kind of ignore. First of all, it says that it tried to find out if this was a movie because it didn't really look like an episode. That was the folder for the episode, and it said it couldn't find a movie for it, so it tried to check if it was a episode, and it is. It's an episode, season 6, episode 18. That's correct. Then it's complaining that the video file that we downloaded doesn't actually look like a video file. The resolution of the video was under 1. Basically, it's 0 pixels high, and that's because it's a 0-byte file. Now, we've told Media Center Master, ignore that. Do it anyway. Parse it as usual, even if it's a bad episode. So, it did. It parsed it anyway, and moved it into the collection, fetched the metadata for it, and then it deleted the empty folder right there, right here. If there were insignificant files left over, sample files, NFOs, things like that, it would have deleted those. But if there were any significant files of certain sizes, it would have said, hey, I'm not supposed to delete that, I'm skipping it. Okay, so the other download, same issue. It wasn't an actual video, it was a 0-byte file, so we can ignore that message too for this demo. Moved, fetched, and done. You'll notice now if I go into my download history, and I go to my library as well, that these two were parsed into the library. So as long as you've set these up correctly, you have your intervals correctly, Media Center Master will automatically download new episodes of everything you want here. The only other thing I haven't shown you is back episodes. If we want to download everything from this season, even if it's beyond the cutoff time that we set earlier of March 1st, 2013, we can tell it everything in season 6, for example, or everything between certain dates. I'm going to go ahead and tell it to download everything from season 6. It's doing a lot of comparison with air dates and availability if you actually have the file physically, things like that. So it does take it a few moments to kick into gear there and get to season 6. You'll notice that it's telling you certain results don't match up with the quality settings that we've used. It will tell you if it doesn't match any keywords, things like that as well. And there they go. Again, I have this paused. I'm not actually going to show you that I'm downloading any media myself right now, but you can see how the process would work. Now, this will continue all the way to season 6, episode 16 or 17 or so, and it's not going to try and re-download episodes that are already in the download history. It'll get to 16 and it'll stop, because 17, 18, 19, and so forth were already downloaded earlier. Doesn't look like it found any results for episode 20. It's possible that 20 and 19 were actually a 2-part episode. I'm not sure about that. So, there you go. Hope you enjoy this demo and understand how Media Center Master and SabNZBd can interface together. How to separate your Media Center Master downloads using a post-processing script. How to automatically get those downloads back from SabNZBd and parse them into your library, even if you're not using Media Center Master to initiate your downloads. Even if Media Center Master isn't set to download usenet for you, you can still use SabNZBd and the download parser to get those back into your library. And that should be it.